Renaissance Academy Creative Kids Artists. I am so glad to have you back today. We are ready to do our second lesson in the studies of drawing. Today we're going to work on drawing a sphere, a can, and a box, a cube. We're going to draw these like this, and then I will show you how to put together what we've learned to make a horse. All right, so let's jump in and get going. So you can pause the video now and go around your house and try to find a round ball. A baseball would work fine. There's some examples here that you can look through. I've got a marble and maybe an ornament or whatever. And then grab yourself a can or something that is shaped like a tube like this. It can be a cup or whatever. And then you can grab anything that is shaped like a box, a book, or it can be a larger box or anything like that. Okay, so when you've got your things, let's jump in and get going. All right, the first thing we're going to start out with today is a ball. So get your ball set up, and what you want to do is put light on one side of it, and so that there's a shadow going out the back. So it's very easy. We're going to start out with a circle. And if you don't want to just try to draw it by with your hand like this, you can get your can that you've already got and just draw loosely right around that circle. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so get yourself a good circle and you're all set like that. Now I'm looking at the ball that I have set out on my table, and I've turned off all the lights in my room, so I've got a dark shadow over here and one light on the ball. If you need help putting up one light on your ball with maybe a flashlight, you can do that too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by putting a little bit of shadow over most of the ball where I see it, just a very light shadow. I'm not pressing very hard with my pencil. I'm keeping it very light like this. And I'm using my pencil lines at sort of an angle like this. I think that that just looks nicer than coloring it like a color crayon like this. If you can try to keep your lines going all the same direction, it just has a cleaner overall look to the whole thing. So they're all kind of like when you color in a coloring book. It's the same sort of thing. I always admired my sister's coloring pictures because hers always looked so clean because she colored like this. So we're going to just try to keep our pencil drawing very clean like this. Now I'm trying not to go outside my circle. If you need to change direction just a little bit around the edges, just so you can get right up to the edge, that's okay too, just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to come around. I have my light coming like this, so it's hitting the ball right in this area. So I'm not going to put very much pencil marks right there, maybe none at all. And you just go around like this. Now, I'm going to take my finger, and it's clean and dry. You don't want any sticky anything on it. Clean and dry. And I'm going to go like this and soften all my marks. I'm not rubbing hard, but you can see a little bit on my finger. So we're going to come back through, and only now on the lower side of the ball, I'm going to put a little bit darker. I'm going to go right over what I just did. So we're going to leave this part alone now and let that be the middle tone. That's what we call the middle tone, where it's not really dark and it's not really light. It's right in the middle. Okay. Coming up around the side of the ball like this. And now I am turning my pencil marks just a little bit like this. Okay, that's gonna be good enough for that. And then here's a neat little trick. You're gonna take your eraser and erase out a shine. If you're doing a ball and there's a shine on it, like a marble, that's a great thing you can do to pull out that, what we call the highlight, right out of the middle a little bit more. And now it looks like a round, shiny object. So now the darkest part of this is the shadow that's underneath it. And I'm gonna draw the shape of that shadow first, like this. And this is where I'm gonna get really dark under this ball. But just right up under the ball is dark as you can get it. And then as that shadow gets further out away from being under the ball, it gets just a little bit lighter. So I'm just gonna press a little bit less going out and away. Now, if you don't want to use your finger to blend, you can take a Kleenex like this and just roll it into a point and do a little bit of that smudging. I prefer to use something like this when I get to the really dark stuff because I really don't want all of that on my finger. And all of a sudden we have a shadow under the ball, and I'm going to take and just blend in some of these marks here too. There, it's a little bit more. Now I'm going to take my eraser and just clean up around the edges of this ball so it looks really clean. Oops. It's okay if you erase into your ball a little, you can always fix it. There's no mistake that you can't fix. So don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's okay. You can always do another drawing. All right, so there's that. First shape done. The next shape we're going to do is a box. So you can see the box that I have set up, and I'm going to draw it now first. And I'm just going to remember when we were drawing the angles in our first lesson, I'm looking at the angle on the top of this box. It comes like this and it goes back like that. And you want to keep your lines what we call parallel. That means that they're going to go on like this, always the same that way. And then these two are going to be always the same this way. Okay, always that way, and then always that way. And now we've got the letter Y. This corner of my block goes down like this. See it? Here's the letter Y. All right. Now again, we have parallel lines. This one and this one, the bottom of the box. So we're gonna make this one match that. And then this one and this one are gonna match. Okay, now this one and this one are gonna match. And again, this one and this one are gonna match. And how easy was that box to draw? All right, now we're gonna put the shading on it. As you can see, I have the light hitting the front of the box and the top. The top is brighter, but we're gonna put just a little bit of shadow on the front, just to make it a little bit different than the top. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell, but you just have to decide if this is the brightest, then this is going to be the next brightest, and then this side is really dark. It's not your darkest dark because that shadow on the table is going to be your darkest area. So we're going to make this pretty dark, but not as dark. So we're just going like that, color it in. And again, if you want to use colored pencils, you certainly can do that after you're done with this project. Or you can build a whole city of blocks and put flying spaceships around it, or an underwater mermaid village, or whatever you want to do, whatever you decide. We're going to have a lot of fun with our imagination in these creative kids classes. But in order to be as creative as you want to be, you got to learn some rules first. Okay, so now my shadow for this box comes back this way and about like that. So we're going to make this really dark in here, really, really dark. Okay, and there's that. Now, it wasn't too hard. Let's soften up my pencil strokes just a little bit. Roll that up. Sometimes you might have children's blocks, like the little wooden blocks. Those would work great for this. And there's our block. All right, so let's do our can. Okay, so what we have here is we have a circle on top of the can, but instead of seeing it like a perfect circle, we only see it more like an oval. So we've got us coming like this. There. And then the bottom part of the can is going to have this exact same curve. Okay, so let's try to get that exact same curve. Do the best you can. You've got all the time in the world to practice. Now the sides of the can are easy. They're just two straight lines down. All right, now my light's coming from this way, so I'm going to put a shadow on this side of the can. And then as the shadow wraps around the can, it gets lighter and lighter as it gets toward the light. So I'm using my pencil marks kind of to show the form of the can. So you can see they're sort of going around like this. As I get toward the light, I'm using less and less. I'm not pressing very hard. I'm kind of whispering my pencil right on the surface, just very lightly. So now we're just going to barely whisper those pencil strokes. Okay, and then on the top of the can, I see sort of a shadow going across the whole lid, but not very dark. It's not really, really dark. Seems like it gets lighter on this side. Okay, now right under the can and going back this way is that dark shadow. let's clean it up now. Give it a little bit darker shadow on this side. Okay, now we're going to soften and blend these shadows. Just like that. Okay, and then up the side of the can, and remember, I can always clean that up. I'm going to find a little bit cleaner spot on my Kleenex as I come over here to the lighted side. And then on the lid. Okay, now I'm going to clean up around the edge of this can with my eraser. And then I'm going to give a little bit of a shine right on the edge, because where the metal is picking up some of that shine from the light. Right here, and then right over here. And then that really looks like a metal can. You see that? All right, so there's our can. Let's put all these shapes together and I'll show you how to make a funny horse. Okay, so we're going to start out with a ball for the shoulder. Circle. And another ball for the hind end. Okay, and it's okay if you have to draw them a little bit loose, like this, till you find a circle that you really like. And then you can kind of draw over it a little bit more firm. Okay, so let's give it a little bit of a shadow, just so we remember this is a ball. Let's use the same light coming from the same direction. Whatever shape we put on this horse, it's going to have light coming from the exact same direction. Okay, so there are the front of the horse and the back of the horse. Now we're going to put a soup can laying on the side in the middle. So imagine there's a soup can right here. Can you see that? Okay, so we're going to put the light again coming from sort of this way. This is all going to be a shadow. Let's imagine we lay that soup can down. I have kids all the time asking me how to draw horses. And this is a fun way that I've shown kids to draw horses. So there's a shadow on the belly. And then as it moves around the side, the light gets brighter and brighter, and the shadow gets less and less. Let's erase some of this ball here and some of this ball here. And it's okay to blend that can into the ball, just like that. Okay, now we've got a soup can sitting on this ball. That's going to be the neck. But that soup can got scrunched at the top. So here's the bottom of the soup can. And instead of it going up like this, that would look funny. We're going to scrunch that soup can so it's a little more narrow at the top. Just like that. Okay? So let's add our shadow where the light is not going to be hitting that. And then we've got a ball. Oops, here, hold on. Let's get a little bit more shadow on that. Okay, then we've got a ball sitting at this part right on top of the soup can. It's not as big as these, so let's make it a little smaller. Okay, and then there's a smaller soup can here. We'll add the shading here in just a minute. And another ball. Is that already looking like a funny horse? We'll clean up these. All of these lines in the middle. And then we'll add our shading in. So I'm going to clean up the front of this horse's face just a little bit. Okay, a couple of ears up here. In a horse, if you cut this big ball right in half, their eye is about resting on that halfway mark. And then their nose looks like a jelly bean. And their mouth. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit more and see where we are. Okay, now the legs are like a soup can here and a soup can here. So we'll shade those just like we have been doing. And their knee here is like a ball, and this back knee is like a ball, and another soup can, but this one's a longer, skinnier one. I'll give that the ball a little bit of shading. And then a little shading on the lower one. And a little ball down here. And then their hoof, which is about like this. This part is called the pastern, and then the hoof. Okay, so let's clean this up and make the form look a little bit more accurate. The shapes help us get a general idea of where we're going. Then you can come back through and give it a little bit more realistic effect. Okay, so I've just made a few adjustments to the horse, and I wanted to show you how I just go through and clean up some of the details at the end. So I'm putting in a little bit of shading on the legs. And now instead of drawing the whole soup can and ball thing for the other legs, I'll just do a simple drawing here of the other legs just to show you a quick way to do it. Just tuck this one back there. Maybe it's walking or lifting its foot up. And we'll put this one like it's stepping forward. Remember, the other legs are always on the other side, so they're not going to be right next to this foot because they're under the horse. Okay, so we'll give some ground for them to stand on. And I always darken the other leg a little bit more because it's under, and so it'd have more shadow on it. And if you want to make your horse have lots of extra hair around the ankles, I used to do that when I was younger, and I just thought they looked like woolly unicorns or something. And I'll show you what you can do with that. So that, I used to do this. Lots of hair coming off the legs. I thought it gave them a look like a pony or a unicorn. Okay, and then the tail. The tail is part of the backbone. So here's the backbone, and it comes out like that. It just is like that, and then let it hang down. And the mane just grows right out of the neck. Like that. And the forelock comes right out like that. And that is how you draw a very pretty little horse. And you can color that and do whatever you want. You can put wings on your horse and make it a Pegasus, and a little horn if you want, and color it different colors. You don't have to stick with brown, black, or white, or tan. You can color it pink if you want. I don't think it matters to the horse. So enjoy your pictures and enjoy your week of drawing. I hope that you practice drawing shapes and putting them together. You can make all sorts of creatures by using those shapes. You can take a ball and give it long noodly arms and make an octopus. You can build a little ball on a box. You can make a squirrel or a kitty or a dog. Okay, well that wraps up this lesson. All right, so practice this week on your drawing cubes and round balls and soup cans, any kind of can. All right, have fun and happy drawing. We'll see you next week.